Daniel Bryan won't be at the Royal Rumble. Stone Cold Steve Austin won't be at WrestleMania. Plus, why does Brock Lesnar not have to defend the title every 30 days? And seriously, Orton versus Cena for the 1,000th time? That and much more. Keep it locked. It's the Sharpshoot with Aussie. Sharpshoot with Aussie is brought to you in part by TRN, the Talking Wrestling Network. Subscribe on YouTube today. And by RoadBreakWrestling.com. Get out of the bleachers and get in the ring. What's going on, Road Breakers, and welcome to the 7th installment of the Sharpshoot with Aussie. Once again, I am Aussie, and that's where you can follow me on Twitter, at I am Aussie. A lot of rumors swirling around the WWE universe this week, as the norm, because let's be honest, this is WWE. There's always some sort of rumor or hot stove talk going out, much more so than professional sports. I guess that's what makes WWE a little bit more entertaining. Go Royals, either way. We start with news that Daniel Bryan reportedly will not make the Royal Rumble. Now, this is starting a little bit of a trend for me here, as you'll know on this episode, and that trend being not so sure that we're getting the completely honest story here. Now, I know if I was WWE, the last thing I would want is for everybody to know that Daniel Bryan is returning at the Royal Rumble. Now, don't get me wrong, I think that a lot of people already expected that, and I think that a lot of people already expect a guy like Roman Reigns to return around the Royal Rumble as well. Now, the thing that makes me unsure if Daniel Bryan will actually be at the Royal Rumble or not is the fact that most people, that they had that date as his return date. Maybe, just maybe, WWE wants to kind of throw back that, sense of realism, or maybe the unpredictability of a return. I highly doubt it. Maybe it's wishful thinking, but I'm hoping that the Daniel Bryan news that we're hearing this past week is all false, and that Daniel Bryan can still return at the Rumble. Maybe this rumor will throw everybody off the path, and thus the Daniel Bryan return will be that much more exciting. Same with the second rumor that's coming out of the WWE camp, or the WWE rumor mill this week, and that's that Stone Cold Steve Austin not going to be coming back for WrestleMania 31 at all. Now, last week it was reported that Austin was training for a return to WWE. He came back and he shot those rumors down this past week, saying that he was talking about a return, get this, to Gold's Gym. Stone Cold, not necessarily sure I believe you there, buddy. And the reason being there is because I know that Stone Cold Steve Austin knows the importance of a surprise return. It's really that simple. I know that Stone Cold Steve Austin would be among the type that would say, hey, if everybody knows that I'm coming back at WrestleMania 31, it's not going to be nearly as interesting as if nobody expected it at all, similar to the way we saw The Rock return 2 weeks ago on Raw. Nobody really expected it. He showed up. It was 10 times better because nobody expected it. And I've been talking about in the past how WWE has really dropped the ball on some of these returns, like RVD, for instance. They came out and they said, hey, RVD is going to be there at Money in the Bank, whatever it was, 2-3 weeks down the road. Therefore, the whole return was spoiled. Same with Batista. They had the vignettes, the animal returns, blah, blah, blah. Would have been much better, and he probably would have got cheered rather than booed if it was a completely surprise return. Anyways, that being said, not necessarily sure I believe the Daniel Bryan rumors coming out this week, or the Stone Cold Steve Austin counter rumor, so to speak, about him not returning. That still all remains to be seen. Hopefully, WWE, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Daniel Bryan, maybe they're doing the right thing here. Maybe they're doing the smart thing, trying to throw everybody off the trail here. I'm going to be that guy that pretends to not be off the trail here. I think the Daniel Bryan thing, that might be a little more true than the Stone Cold Steve Austin thing. For some reason, I got a gut feeling that he's still coming back here in some form or fashion. The other huge news in WWE this week is that of Justin Roberts' release. Now, I know that a lot of you out there were just as shocked as me when you heard that Justin Roberts was released, because there was no rumblings or rumors about this at all, and it kind of leaves WWE without a lead ring announcer. I mean, I don't know if they're going to try and throw Tony Chimmel in there. Lillian Garcia hasn't really been in, at all. Who is going to step in there? And the question is, why? Now, listen, I'll be the first to tell you, was not necessarily the biggest Justin Roberts fan, but the guy was a WWE fan at heart. He was a mark. He showed up. He did his job. He was always there. Like John Cena. John Cena's always been there for us. No, seriously. Justin Roberts, I feel bad for the guy. I know he loves the business. He was a good dude, and yes, we might pick on him here and there for his John Cena. But either way, my question to WWE is, who's going to be the new ring announcer? Hopefully it's not JoJo or Cody Rhodes' wife coming up from NXT. Not necessarily sure that they're ready for the main roster, but I could see that happening. I don't know. That remains to be seen, but nevertheless, shocking news this week about Justin Roberts' release, and we wish Justin the best. Rolling right into the next segment so you guys can quickly get back to doing nothing, what you were doing before you watched this show. It's this week's WWE Network Pick of the Week, and it was a simple one this week. We're keeping that Hell in a Cell theme going on the way up to the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. This week I'm going with Bad Blood 1997. Got to check out that pay-per-view. The reason being, perhaps the greatest. It could be argued between last week's pick, the Mankind and Undertaker Hell in a Cell, versus this week's Shawn Michaels versus Undertaker Hell in a Cell. The one at Bad Blood 1997 between HBK and Undertaker, the first Hell in a Cell match, the first match to go down in the Devil's Playground. And let me tell you, it's a classic. If you've not seen it already, you need to go check it out. I don't care if you check it out on YouTube, WWE Network, whatever you have to do, you've got to see this match before we see the Ambrose and Rollins match, because honestly, a lot of people are really expecting greatness out of Ambrose and Rollins. You got to see what they have as far as competition. We're talking great all-time Hell in a Cell matches. Undertaker, Mankind, Undertaker, HBK. Those are the top two in my book, and you have to check those matches out before you can go ahead and rank Seth Rollins versus Dean Ambrose, which I'm sure will be somewhere in the top 5 conversation when it's all said and done, if they do it the right way. But either way, this week's WWE Network Pick of the Week, Bad Blood 1997, the first ever Hell in a Cell match between The Undertaker and HBK, Shawn Michaels. Go check it out. This week's shoot segments, It's True, How Do You Like Me Now, and the Sharpshoot, actually come from topics that were submitted by you guys on Rope Break Wrestling's Facebook page. And this week, I am proud to say, we had a big turnout. A lot of people submitted their responses, their topics, their questions, what they wanted to see addressed on this week's episode of the Sharpshoot. And it was really tough breaking it down into just 3. For these 3 segments. The first one, though, comes from the man himself named Jason Burns, and Jason Burns wants to know why Brock Lesnar doesn't have to defend the title every 30 days like Daniel Bryan had to. It was the reason why Daniel Bryan was stripped of the WWE title, and he wants to know why Brock Lesnar doesn't have to follow the same rules here. And to be perfectly honest with you, I'm in agreement with you, Burns, and I have to say, it is a little bit tasteless. It leaves a bad taste in my mouth that Brock Lesnar's now not going to be showing up on pay-per-views. If you flash back a couple weeks ago to a different episode of the Sharpshoot, I talked a little bit about why Brock Lesnar should have the title right now, and the reason being is because several of the younger talents are not quite ready for that spot yet. Brock Lesnar is an excellent heel to hold the strap while those guys are built up to break Lesnar down. Now, I do not agree with him not showing up on every single pay-per-view. But then if you take a look at it, Burns, it does still make sense within the storyline. And a lot of people are very pissed off about this, talking about how Lesnar doesn't show up on Raw first. Now he's not showing up on pay-per-views. The title's meaningless. It's bullshit. Yick. I can't necessarily disagree with the notion that the title has to be on the pay-per-view. But at the same time, what is WWE doing here? What is the Authority doing here? And what is Brock Lesnar doing here? They are really building in that heel character of Lesnar. They're engraving it in your brain. How pissed are people at Brock Lesnar right now? That is a real life heel. People are not just mad because of shit that's going down inside of the ring. People are mad because of shit that's going on outside of the ring or stuff that's not going on inside of the ring. Brock Lesnar's not there. People are angry. That gives him another heel dimension. Now listen, I know it's not necessarily ideal to have the title off of TV, or off of pay-per-view even so. But you have to look at it in a long term. And this is what a lot of WWE fans are not very good at doing. I'm not accusing you of that, Burns, but I am accusing most of the WWE universe, most of the IWC, of being too short-term, short-minded. What you have to think of is the future. Think of Royal Rumble, think of WrestleMania, when Brock Lesnar finally loses that WWE World Heavyweight Championship. How much bigger and better it is going to be because of this build. We're going to be talking about how Brock Lesnar screwed us over. He doesn't care about the business. He beat The Undertaker. He shouldn't have beat The Undertaker. He took the strap. He shouldn't have taken the strap. And he wasn't on pay-per-view. He should have been on pay-per-view. Well, those are three big-time dimensions that make Brock Lesnar one of the biggest heels in the last 10 years, and quite frankly, of all time. Now you factor in the fact that you've got a young up-and-coming talent that everybody wants to see succeed, whether it be Roman Reigns, Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins, whomever. When they beat Brock Lesnar for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, it is going to be that much sweeter because of this long bullshit build. Let's face it, this time of the year, every year sucks for WWE. Really, we just wait for that build to WrestleMania, and then a couple months after WrestleMania, product's pretty good, and then it turns to shit right around this time of the year. Trust me, I was at Survivor Series last year, and I got to see Randy Orton versus Big Show in the WWE title match. Yeah, I know, you feel sorry for me. Either way, let me tell you, I do not necessarily like the fact that Brock Lesnar is not going to be on pay-per-view, let alone the fact that he hasn't been on Raw. I do think the title should mean a little bit more than that, but guess what? A young talent's going to steal that title back from Lesnar and bring it back up to where it belongs, and because of that, I'm ready and willing to wait it out. So seriously, guys, we all hate Brock Lesnar right now. We hate the fact that he's not on pay-per-view, but wait it out. It'll be worth it in the end. It's true.
It's damn true.
Didn't trick me this time. Last couple weeks I've been fooled and thought that Edge would actually be on the show when that music hit. This week I know that it means it's time for the On This Day segment, and it's October 16th, and that can only mean one thing, right? You don't know? What happened on this day, October 16th, 2004. Yes, I know Rope Break Wrestling is a WWE type promotion here, if that's what you want to call us. But we do recognize other promotions, and we have to recognize one of the all-time greatest wrestling matches in pro wrestling history, and that is Joe versus Punk 2. Happened in Ring of Honor, October 16th, 2004. Samoa Joe faces CM Punk in the second match of their trilogy, widely regarded as the best match of those three, and by some as the best match of all time. I highly suggest you go check it out right now, regardless of whether or not you're a CM Punk fan. If you're sick and tired of seeing and hearing CM Punk shit on the internet, please give this match a chance. It's before he even became part of WWE. Any of that stuff going on. Samoa Joe versus CM Punk. Excellent chemistry. Great build. Like I said, 3 matches. This is definitely the best of the 3. And it happened on October 16th, 2004 in Ring of Honor. And Dave Meltzer gave this match a 5-star rating. That is an extremely telling review. Dave Meltzer does not give out 5 stars all the time. When he does, it's definitely a match worth checking out. Go check out Samoa Joe versus CM Punk 2, Ring of Honor, October 16th, 2004. It was on this day.
How do you like me now?
It's time for our second fan-submitted topic, and this time it's for How Do You Like Me Now, and it's from Nathan Lundgren, and he wants to know why the roster is so small and why it leads to the same old shit. Well, you really hit the nail on the head there, Nathan. I cannot say that I disagree with you. It seems to be a lot of the same old regurgitated storylines and feuds that we've been seeing in WWE recently, and you're right, it is due to the smaller roster. He asks why, whatever happened to the times when we had huge rosters? Very simple. Couple reasons. One being would no longer have brand extension, which is definitely something that I disagree with. I think having the two separate brands, Raw and SmackDown, made for a lot more room for more talent to get over and just be utilized. If you're going to be getting paid, why be off TV and off center when you can be on a show making somebody money? Two different brands gives two marketing options. You can have different t-shirts and all that sorts of shit. When people get over, more money is made. And that's the other key right here is money. They don't have enough money to have a bigger roster. Well, I still think that's a hunk of shit, even though we're seeing guys like Justin Roberts released and whatnot. I still think WWE has plenty of money. Point being, you've got guys backstage that are just not being utilized whatsoever. You look at a Zack Ryder. Really, you look at an Xavier Woods, a Big E Langston, a Kofi Kingston. That three-piece has been on the WWE app wasting away, not getting over with the crowd at all. So when we're talking about a smaller roster, what we really mean is a smaller TV roster. We're seeing the same old shit on WWE TV, and that really can be credited to the lack of product knowledge that the creative team has. And I said last week that they had SRS, Shitty Raw Syndrome. I talked a little bit about Shitty Raw Syndrome on last week's episode, so go check that out after this episode. But what I'm talking about is creative team has no product knowledge. They do not know how to use some of these guys, like Xavier Woods, Big E Langston, Kofi Kingston. That three-piece could very easily be on Monday Night Raw every single week and be doing productive stuff. Instead, they're thrown on the WWE app, similar to the way Dolph Ziggler was a few months back, cutting excellent promos on the WWE app, being wasted. It's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. As far as the smaller roster goes, they need to expand their horizons. A lot of NXT talent can be brought up. I know the Ascension is on their way up, but we're talking about a tag team division right now that is absolutely atrocious. You bring up the Ascension, pretty much the entire NXT tag team division could be brought up right now. Yes, they might not be as well polished, but back in the day, remember, they didn't get polished until they got to the big game. Look at a tag team like the Hardy Boys, who really did all of their polishing in the WWF ring. They came in as relative unknowns, and they became one of the top tag teams, all while in the WWF. They didn't have to wait in developmental before they became big. They became big because they were on WWE TV being exposed every single week. So Nathan, I agree with you. The roster's too small. And to those that disagree with brand extension, you're all fools, because more TV time for different talent equals more people over, which equals more storylines, more t-shirts, more money, and more talent. It's just, if cash rules everything, you've got to invest in your talent. And if you have talent backstage growing dust, growing mold, it doesn't make sense. You're not going to make money. You're just paying them money and not making any money off of them. Get them on TV, get them TV time, get them used. Because like I said, cash rules everything around me, cream. Get the money, dollar bill, y'all.
How do you like me now?
This week's Sharpshoot topic comes from Neil Martin, and Neil Martin is dying to know why we have to watch Randy Orton versus John Cena for about what he says the 1,000th time, and it really seems like he's not exaggerating there at all. Can we get a count there? Is this really Orton versus Cena 1,000? I would probably think it's probably a little more than that, right? Either way, seriously, this is a big problem for a lot of fans. They're sick and tired of seeing John Cena versus Randy Orton, and Neil Martin thinks that this match is actually going to get the main event spot. I'm not necessarily sure I agree with that. I don't know that they actually are going to get that main event spot. Quite frankly, I think if WWE Creative decides to give them the main event spot, the match is going to be overshadowed by a match that has already happened, and it's going to be an absolute flop. I think Orton and Cena both know they cannot go in after Ambrose and Rollins tear the house down. It's going to be like a main event match, WrestleMania 25, where you see the Undertaker and Shawn Michaels match, arguably the greatest match of all time, tear the house down, and then you had a good main event between Randy Orton and Triple H, and it was just silent because the crowd was just so exhausted from an absolutely amazing match that they saw before. I think if they want the Orton and Cena match to be successful, it needs to go on before the Ambrose and Rollins match. That being said, I'm not necessarily sure that I'm upset with the fact that we're seeing Cena versus Orton again. I'm glad there's no title involved this time, and I'm glad it's not the main focus. It's not the only entree that we're getting. If anything, that's just an appetizer to the succulent steak that we're going to get later on with Ambrose and Rollins, whether it be before or after. It really doesn't matter. Sometimes I eat my dessert before dinner too. Don't tell anybody. Either way, I'm just happy to be getting that Rollins-Ambrose. I would have liked that much better than seeing Ambrose, Orton, and Cena Rollins, because to be perfectly honest with you, I don't think that Cena can handle Seth Rollins in the ring, personally. I think it needs to be Ambrose, Rollins. We're seeing a budding and flourishing rivalry here. I'd like to compare it to The Rock versus Triple H in the late 90s there. Very good rivalry going forward here. I expect a lot out of this match. I'm very excited for this match. But I see your point. I see your point, Neil Martin. I understand why you're a little bit frustrated with seeing the same old shit, kind of like Nathan was saying. But with this small roster, we really don't have that many options here because not that many people are being pushed to that point. Right now, we're seeing a monumental waste of a guy like Bray Wyatt, who is kind of built for a Hell in a Cell match. But he's off TV. Question is, does he return at Hell in a Cell? Does he interfere with one of these matches? What happens? Does the Ascension pop up out of nowhere? It remains to be seen, but to be perfectly honest with you, I'm not disappointed that we're getting Cena versus Orton. They're two good wrestlers. I know we like to dog them, we like to hate on them, but be perfectly honest with yourself. That match is going to be suitable. At least it's not the match, if that makes any sense. I mean, if we were seeing Santino Marella versus, Sheamus or some shit, and then we were getting Cena and Orton, and those were the top two matches, yes, I would be extremely frustrated and upset. But the fact that we're getting Ambrose and Rollins, I really could give a shit less about any other match on the card. That's the match I'm tuned into. That's the match that I want to see. So, Neil, I totally am on your side with seeing this, this match over and over and over again. They said it for the last time before. They said it was going to be the last time we saw this match. We knew better than that. I expect to see this match a couple more times down the road. Maybe even a WrestleMania match to cap it all off. But I'm not complaining. It's a good rivalry. It's one of the best of all time. Yes, it's overdue. It's stale. We need to see a little bit of a character change from both. But hey, maybe on the bright side, maybe we see Randy Orton punt John Cena in the Dome. That would be the ultimate face turn right there. Wait, you're still there? I'm shocked you stuck around for another full episode of The Sharpshoot with Aussie, and I'm humbled. I appreciate it. Go ahead, follow us on Twitter at Rope Break Wrestling, at Talkin' Wrestling, and follow me at I Am Aussie, because really at the end of the day, it's all about what I say, what I tweet, what I do. That's what I do. Either way, it's been another excellent episode of the show. Tune in every single Thursday on the Talkin' Wrestling Network and on Rope Break Wrestling, our YouTube pages, for new editions of The Sharpshoot with Aussie. Pretty soon we're going to be having guests on the show, and you could be that guest. So stay tuned to figure out how. And in the meantime, if you don't like the Rope Break Wrestling Facebook page, get to it now. Why, you ask? Because we're giving away a copy of WWE 2K15 for any console of your choice at the Survivor Series pay-per-view. That's only if we reach 3,000 likes, which we're only about 300 away now. So seriously, get in there, like that page. If you don't, I'll keep the freaking copy of 2K15 for myself. I'll just throw it on the ground and just leave it there. Seriously. Because that's what I do. For the Sharpshoot this week, I am Aussie. Until next week, guys, it's time to tap out.
Sharpshoot with Aussie is brought to you in part by TRN, the Talking Wrestling Network. Subscribe on YouTube today. And by RopeBreakWrestling.com. Get out of the bleachers and get in the ring.